We're going into this coming year with less money in the county coffers than usual.
Yes, sir.
What were the reasons for this?
Well, we sidestepped a tax increase last year. For instance, the Permanent Improvement Fund, we eliminated the tax for that fund. And of course, we know that there's items, certain things that's going to have to be done on our buildings. And we keep from having many just beat up buildings. We've got to keep maintain them and keep them.
Now, we haven't had a substantial tax increase since 1965, when we went from 87 to 92 cents. I know people always gripe about increase in taxes. We've kept ours down. Has this been because that we're behind other counties in the state, or has it been because we've had the revenue coming in from other sources?
Well, we're not behind other counties, I don't believe, in the state. We've made a great deal of progress in county government in Dallas County. We've been very cautious, and perhaps some things that should have been done several years ago to get around inflation we didn't do, to keep from raising the taxes. But that sort of thing catches up with you now.
One of the essentials in increasing food production in the world as a whole is the increased use of nitrogen. Chemical fertilizer nitrogen is cheap, abundant, and readily applied. It does increase crop yields dramatically in the presence of adequate pesticides, adequate water, and seeds that are responsive. In the world as a whole, with its doubling population, they're all going to be well fed in the year 2000. It may be necessary to increase nitrogen use in chemical fertilizer by an order of magnitude, by 10 times.
The data that I'm presenting here today show that at the levels that we are now using, nitrogen fertilizer is responsible for a substantial part of the pollution of surface waters in the United States. The rivers of the Corn Belt in Illinois and Nebraska carry nitrogen which is leaked out of the soil as a result of the heavy use of fertilizer. This nitrogen causes algae to grow excessively, organic matter to build up in the rivers, and this, in a sense, asphyxiates the rivers and pollutes them. There is no doubt from the data that I have available that the present use of chemical fertilizer is causing a large pollution problem. In addition, it is forcing nitrate into plants in excessive amounts and also into drinking water. And there are dangers to infants particularly of taking in too much nitrate, because it can be converted by bacteria in the body to nitrite, which is quite poisonous.
The voters have not been approached on this subject to determine if we want a stadium as such or how we want to finance it. It's been strictly a matter between the City Council and Mr. Murchison. And apparently, Mr. Murchison has done all of the talking and planning. And I presume that the citizens sooner or later should be approached on this subject, but we have not been.
Mr. Kearns, today you asked for an injunction against the city of Irving to keep them from building this stadium, and you claimed that part of the agreement was unconstitutional. How is that?
We have granted the city's name for use by the Texas Stadium Corporation to secure financing. We have used the city's name to secure credit. This has been done not by the city, but by a private corporation. And under the Texas Constitution, they tell me that this ain't supposed to be done.
It's often the little things that make a parade go. Of little things, How many little staples does it take to make one Cotton Bowl parade?
Well, you know, I was just figuring that the day before yesterday, and I would say this: it will take between a quarter of a million to maybe a half a million. I couldn't tell you that exactly, but say a little bit over a quarter of a million.
I have a theory about what makes a successful float or a successful parade. What do people like?
Well, the more fantastic the float is, the more fantasy you put into it, the most nondescript it is, it seems the better people like it. The people like to have a surprise. They like for you to, the public in general is intelligent, and they like to have their mind work and to look at the float and have their own conception of it. They like to have their own interpretation of it. If you tell it to them too plainly, the float doesn't make as much of a hit as if you let them guess.
Do it themselves?
They do it themselves, that's right.
How is the Cotton Bowl parade through the years that you've seen it? How has it fared? How are we doing with response?
Well, I will tell you this. When we started, we probably were the 20th parade in the whole country. Today, I think we are quoted as the third or the fourth most important parade in the country, or maybe in the world.
This parade is very important to Dallas. Do we have somebody looming down our necks threatening to take it away from us, though?
Down right. Houston would like to have a parade like this, and they will make every effort to take it away from us, but we won't let them do it. I guarantee you that.
Carl, that's hard to figure today. Of course, we will not know until we talk to each department. Of course, this question comes up each year, and up to date, we've been pretty fortunate. But I do know, and for the coming year, that many people are demanding and requesting the court to set up a full-fledged county crime laboratory, forensic science, and equip it well. And of course, we know that's expensive. See, we lost Dr. Rose because we didn't equip him as we should have. And I'd say that the county and city crime laboratory will be pretty expensive. Then, of course, in this coming budget, we're building a chapel at the Boys Industrial Home that's been needed for many, many years. That's going to be a very expensive item. Of course, we'll have additional expense this coming year for the mental retardation centers. That's going to be a pretty expensive item. Then, of course, we all know that we are going to have to adjust salaries. We are losing good people at the courthouse. and to meet competition and meet outside and private industry, it's going to be pretty necessary that we pay these people.